When it came to the difficulties that you had with the resort, now COVID hit. Interestingly, when you were at the resort and you visited, they were there. They were really like, how did communication work throughout the time of your planning?
Um, Basically, on the day of our interview and when we're trying to sign, obviously they're selling it to you, right? Like the sales department is selling you the wedding, your dream wedding. So their sales pitch is really good, right? Because they'll show you every possibility, all these photos, all they'll take you to that place. We went inside of that church, on top of that pyramid, right? They know how to work you, so they'll go to the front of the pyramid and they'll take you to the back of the pyramid, up the elevator, right? Open the elevator, open the doors, and Omi, they open the doors and tell me why the angels were singing. They were like, ah. Bro, I was like, oh my goodness. Yes, literally, I started crying. I was like, and the angels were coming on the ceilings. They're like,
Wait.
below.
No, wait, you're serious? Like, seriously?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you meant
Yes,
in your
I am
mind. Like, that was,
serious.
no, like, literally.
No, like this is part of their pitch. I'm telling you, they take you up and like they open the doors and like the angels are singing and like you look, they're like, yeah, look at the ceiling. This is the chapel with the angels. So you see the angels, they're on the ceiling and like the voices, like how I sang it, girl, that's exactly how the sounds were. The violins were playing. I was like, oh my gosh, I start crying because I'm like walking down the aisle, you know?
No wonder you're like, this is it. And Alex
Yeah.
is looking at you like,
She got caught. She got caught in this,
Sucker.
like, this bitch. Yeah. At this point, it's like, okay, well, I guess like I have no say. Like, no, you don't. You don't have a say after this. No. But yeah, so that's their sales pitch. So much communication while they're trying to get your money. Right. When they're trying to get your money, there's all that communication. Hey, it's time for a payment, or hey, don't forget your payments in a month. And then I think because our wedding was 2 years in advance, I didn't think anything of it, but I was told we were going to get assigned a wedding coordinator. Yeah, that didn't happen, right? And we already spoke about this. A lot of the Desi brides know that didn't happen.
Yeah, we talked about it in probably Dusty Hour, Bride for Bunch, Community, something, a few different things. Yeah.
On the post, like I asked what I can do. Everyone was like trying to help. Joyce was helping, right? Like I was like, oh my gosh, like is this normal, right? You told me to look at like Hotel Xcaret, like group, right? Like a Facebook group, and apparently it's the same issues. I didn't know about these issues, right? And so like that's why I'm here to tell everyone, just be aware, if you do book a beautiful venue, just make sure you know more about the venue itself and the communication that goes on in the venue, right? Hotel Xcaret, I'm not trying to trash them, but the communication was just not the best. If I had to pick like the worst thing about this planning process is the communication.
Yeah.
I didn't hear back from them. It's unacceptable to not hear back from the resort about a wedding coordinator until 3 to 4 weeks before the wedding. And they kept saying, oh, you'll hear back in like 6 months. You'll hear back in 4 months. You'll hear back next month. You'll hear back next week. And next week after that, and week after that, and week after that. It ended up being like 4 weeks before the wedding, right? I've been told by the sales department that they're consistently changing employees, right? So like, they can't assign wedding coordinators to you until a certain amount of time because there's not enough. Their workload is a lot, right? And they have to deal with weddings that are happening this week, next week, and the week after that, which is totally understandable. But
yeah, but it's that piece about not having the same employees is the real reason, because you're not gonna assign me to one person and they may not even be here. And I feel like that's like what Jack was talking about at the Desti Hour.
Yes.
last night, because yeah, that's the part, that's like the piece, because it's always the, like, even Sarah has been on, and Sarah said, like, you're not next, which means, you're not going to hear from somebody for a while, or, I mean, you should still hear from someone, but it's not time to start planning. But yours was clearly extreme in the timing
Yeah.
that they did. But you did have Gabby, though, right? So you and Gabby, were you guys at least able to kind of put together stuff, or how did that kind of work out?
So the sales department is the one that contacted me, right? I think I was talking to Paula from the sales department. She's no longer there anymore, from what I hear. I still keep in contact with like Hotel Xcaret group. Just I want to inform a lot of brides if they need help, what to expect.
Right.
I try to put myself out there because I know what it was like,
Yeah,
right?
that's why you're here. So yeah.
Yes, I know what it's like, and it's not a good experience, right? Like you don't want to stress about that. And their sales pitch would be like, okay, don't worry, you don't need a wedding planner because we have a wedding coordinator for you that will coordinate the whole day, that will help you along the way. Paula, she was a sales person, and I would just, keep going. I was like, I need to speak to a supervisor. I need to speak to somebody in regards to this wedding coordinator. I'm not getting anything. The least you could do is give me the list of vendors. And she would get back to me, but of course it would take 3-4 weeks at a time before I get an email or a call back, which was hard, right? Like the worst part about having a destination wedding in a place that doesn't really speak English, right? It doesn't matter where. It could be in the Philippines, it could be Mexico, it could be Italy, right? Like, it doesn't matter where. But if they don't speak English as well, or like as their primary language, right? It's kind of hard to communicate. So you call and you get different stories. You call and you get different answers, right? Like nothing is ever consistent. So like with vendors, yeah, like Gabby, I found her through the list of vendors that Paula sent. And that's why I was doing my own thing, because I already knew, since I haven't heard back from anyone, that I'm going to have to do this myself.
Okay.
Right. And I think I told you, like, I started my own wedding planning business. So lucky for me, it's a passion. I love to plan. I love to plan events, whether it's events or wedding planning, like I'm good at it. So for me, okay, I just go with the flow. All right, it's there, whatever. Let's keep it going, right? I'll do it. She's not there to do it, so I'll do it. That's fine. Just give me the list. I'll call. I'll do my own research. I'll do it all.
Right.
But yeah, like with Gabby, like I had to, when I reached out to her, it was easy, right? Because like I said, I know what I want. I know how I want my wedding and what kind of style and what to expect, right? Her question was, who's your wedding coordinator? Oh, I don't have one. But she wasn't surprised.
Yeah, when you told her, I'm sure she's heard this plenty of times, right? So
yeah, she's like, oh, okay, well, they'll assign you one. I'm like, okay, but I could still pick what I want, right? She's like, yeah, just send me pictures of what you like, send me photos. Like she was very brief on the phone, so I asked for something more personal, like a Zoom call or something, and she was up for it. She kind of got what I liked. She took down everything that I wanted, whether it was like roses, what kind of flowers was I getting? Like, am I going to get my flowers through her? I didn't get my flowers through her because I'm allergic to flowers, most flowers. I like break out in hives. Like I love flowers, but I break out.
Interesting.
Yes. So I told her, I was like, hey, I have like artificial silk flowers. They look real.
Your bouquet is artificial?
Yes. Yes, girl.
Where did you get that? Look, is that in my list? Is that on my list?
Yeah.
Okay. I will absolutely. That'll be in the show notes. I clearly didn't look close enough at your list yet. At your list, I'm imagining. But no. Oh my gosh. Oh wow. Okay.
So, I told her, I was like, this is what my flowers is going to look like, or some sort of type of a bouquet, right? Like I'm still trying to figure out. But these are my colors, and my flowers will be this, and I want pampas because there's pampas in my bouquet. There's a lot of whites in my flowers and my maid of honors flowers, like, and so she wanted more details so that she could put the flowers together and make it kind of blend in, right? So nothing's like out of place. My bouquet kind of has to go with the rest of the decor, right?
Right.
So she was explaining that, but yeah, so like I said, if I didn't have the background that I have and like didn't have the passion for planning, this would have been a disaster. I don't think it would have been, I think it would have hurt a lot of Desti brides, right? Like it just would have tore them apart. This would have, don't get me wrong, I broke down, right?
Right. Like, no, I know, right.
But I mean, like for those who don't like planning, this is their worst nightmare. At this point, you really do have to hire a wedding planner. And then if you're that close into the planning, like 6 months before, and you still don't know, or 4 weeks before, like it's not even worth having a wedding planner if you're going to be like 4 weeks before the wedding, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, at this point, you did everything. So,
so how far in advance, like when did Gabby come? How far from your wedding date did she come in?
I think I contacted her maybe between 6 and 8 months.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah. So that you guys could get things together. So, and to make sure she was available too, because
I still wanted to make sure that she was available to do it because I know I wanted her to do it. I told her to lock the day in, and we'll speak when it gets closer. At 6 months, I think we spoke again on what I wanted and what type of design I was into. She said, we'll talk again at 3 months. At 3 months, she was like, you should hear from your wedding coordinator. I still didn't. She's like, that's okay. We're still going to keep going with the planning process. What are you thinking about the chairs, right? Like, this is the chairs they have. They're ugly. Omi, they were hideous. I know. Like, I was like, I might have to keep the chairs though, Gabby, because I don't know if it's in the budget to pay for chairs.
Wow.
Like, yeah. I don't think there's any budget for that, right? Like, she's like, there's always a budget. We'll make it fit, right?
Yeah. And speaking of, okay, so the budget. So how did we go from where we went? Was this decor mainly, or do you remember do you have a spreadsheet out? What you got over there?
I actually, so I took notes right before we had this meeting, just so I could kind of like help the Desti brides on how this budget worked, right? Okay. If I had a wedding planner, I would have just gave them my budget and we'll work around it, right? But because there was no wedding planner and I knew like a year, 6 months in advance that there was no wedding planner and I'm it, this budget like went out the window, right?
You just were kind of working out whatever I can get.
Whatever is going to help me be sane is what we're going to do, right? As long as I don't go into debt, right? I think that was on your podcast as well, like where it was just like, okay, have the wedding of your dreams, but don't go into debt, right? So it's not like we didn't have the money. We had the money. We just didn't want to spend that much money, right? So everyone just make sure you listen to Omi when she says that, because she means the best. I mean the best. Do not spend more than you have. Do not go into debt because of your wedding. Yeah. Right. You could still have.
You don't want to, and you don't want to start your marriage that way. You just don't. You don't want to start your lives that way. So.
Yeah, like it's just don't go into debt just because you want to have the best. You could have the best and not go into debt. Let me tell you. But this budget breakdown. So the number one biggest cost was the food, the venue, the room blocks, and for me, wedding dress, groom's attire, and the wedding gifts. Right.
And your wedding dress was Eve of Milady, right?
Yes.
Mine too. See, this is when I saw that. When I saw your gown, I said, okay, it's a sister. It's a sister to mine. Okay, all right, yeah.
Yeah, so. I noticed your dress, and I was like, I think that's an Eve of Milady dress. Like, I was like, I think so. You could tell, like, by the shine and the shimmer, right?
Yeah,
and the lace.
And that design, like, it's trademark. So.
Yes. So it all depends, right? Like on what you want to spend on your dress. But mine was like the venue and the food and the room block and my dress and the wedding gifts. That's the number one biggest cost. I would say like the venue and the food because you're thinking about experience, right? For me, because we're having such an intimate wedding of only, I can't say only because 70 to 80 guests is still a lot.
It's intimate for you guys, though, right? Because it would have been right, yeah.
For us, it's intimate. But you know, like you want them to have an experience, right? Because those are the things that they're going to remember. They're not going to remember the centerpieces on your table or, you know, the gift bags that you give when they get to the resort. Although mine was pretty good, I think. But the biggest thing is they're going to see your dress, right? They're going to see the venue. They're going to feel the experience and the ambiance. So however you want to do it, like that should be like the biggest cost. Well, at least for me. For photographers and videographers and the makeup artists, these are all like of importance to me too. I didn't care how much I spent on a makeup artist as long as my face looked decent, right? Like, I don't know if I would recommend them. Like there was nothing wrong with them. Like they were very cordial. They were, you know, they were on time and they spoke English. But like, are they the best wedding makeup artists around? Probably not. Like I would say there could be others. I know for some Black Desti brides, they go through the same makeup artist I did, like the Cassandra Casso or whatever company. They like them. Some do, some don't, because you know the complexion's different, right?
Right.
I know she's one of the top ones for Black Destis, but I mean, for me, like if it was Cassandra, yeah, my makeup would have been like on point. I'm very
okay.
Yeah, like if it was Cassandra, but this other lady did my makeup on the first day, and I was just like I wasn't really feeling it, you know. Like sometimes when you get your makeup done, you're like, oh wow. Oh, I look good, you know.
Right,
like,
look at me. Ooh, yeah, okay, all right.
Oh, yes, this new girl right here. That's what I wanted, but I mean, it was like one of those things where I'm like, okay, it's okay, like it's sufficient, right? Like I wouldn't be able to do it, so it's sufficient. But yeah, photographer and videographer, these are the things that were like important because this is your memory, right? Like these are the people that are going to take footage of what you should remember, and they're going to throw out like the bad stuff, right? Like me forgetting my veil in the room, or me, you know, like crying because I almost forgot the veil or whatever. Like,
is that what happened?
Yes. Yes.
Carry on. Back to the budget. No.
Back to that, okay? Because there's a bigger story to that on why the veil was left in the room. And then the third thing was like decor and upgrade. So like if you're gonna rate 1, 2, 3, was the biggest cost was the venue, food, wedding dress, wedding gifts, or whatever. Second was the photographers and videographers, and third was the decor, the upgrades, any like extra vendors. I asked you about the churro cart because I don't like cake. Well,
oh, did you end up doing it?
Yes.
Okay. I haven't gone through all your photos yet, so yeah.
But I didn't even get my churros because I was like wasted. And like I was like moving. I didn't even get to that's a lie. I had a churro that was cold because they already left.
Me too. Same thing. We took pictures with a churro, but it didn't at the cart, but nah, everybody else got them before, yeah.
I didn't even get to say hi to them because I was just like, it was like literally, okay, let's go do this. I didn't even have time to eat my dessert. It was just margaritas and shots all day long. And then I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not eating today.
That sounds like a day to me. Sounds like one of my favorite types of days. So,
you know, like, but yeah, so for back to budget, decor upgrades, vendors, like the churro carts or dance floors or lighting, right? Like these are like upgrades that you can do without if you're on a budget. But like if my friends know me, like they know me like so well. They know I'm bougie. I'm bougie. I love expensive, nice things. Anything sparkly, shiny,
Mm.
um, anything that's just like, wow, I want. I want
Oh
it.
Lord. And
Right?
you didn't
Like
have a planner, so you had no one to control you. So you
who's gonna
just
control me?
said, "Yep, yep, yep." Where was Alex in the middle of this? Was he helping or where was he?
Girl, no. He did not help. It was just like you're just gonna show up. This is what you're gonna wear. This is what you're gonna do. This is our photographer. Oh, by the way, his name is Matt. Right? Like, like, like it was one of those, and he was just like, "Well, how much is that going to be?" I think we had like a conversation midway once we were paying because we don't have like a payment plan. It was like, okay, 15 grand here, 10 grand here, 12 grand here, right? Like it was
Right.
just like it was one of those. And
Coming
he was
out,
like, "What
yeah.
the heck? What did you do?" I was like, Now's not the time
Now
to
you want to
tell
be
me.
involved. Now you want to be involved. You had your chance. Okay. I already
Do
made the
not tell
decision.
me. Yes. Like, okay, well, couldn't I was like, before you finish that sentence, do not tell me, did I find a better price vendor or did I not talk to someone else? Or I was like, because I've talked to numerous photographers, numerous florists, right? Like in decor production people. I was like, I've talked to numerous of them. Like, I've talked to videographers, right? I'm like, these are all people I talk to. By the way, in English, you speak Spanish. I talk to them in
Mm.
English. So don't tell me if I look for a cheaper price because this is the best price we got, right? And so zip, it was just like, all right, here's the money, like go, right? And he
Yeah.
at that point, it was just like I thought this wedding was gonna be like $30,000. I said, huh?
Yeah. That was pre everything. Pre COVID, pre stress, pre Xcaret not answering me. You just said I deserve this. I'm just going to get this. I mean, but again, you guys had it to do, so you were able to. So, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And like like I said, I know how to plan, right? Like this is my business. So like I it's it's easier for me. I would never recommend a wedding. I'm sure all wedding planners say the same thing. I love doing weddings. I just won't ever do my own because I know myself, right? Like I love pretty things, and
Yeah.
everything's so pretty, and I just have to have it,
Yeah.
right? That I'm the worst person you could ask about budget. Like, unless it's someone else's, don't ask me
I
about it
was just
because
about
my
to say,
budget.
so as a planner, are you able to kind of, if someone tells you their budget,
Oh
then you can
yes,
kind of make it work for them. You're gonna
yes.
figure
I'll
it
be
out
like,
and make it.
oh, that's your budget. Okay, I got these vendors for you.
So you're a
A, B, C,
respecter
D,
of
E.
other people's
You know,
budgets. Got you.
yes,
Okay.
because it's
Okay.
not. It's their money. It's not
Yeah.
mine.
Yes.
Like
Okay.
for me, I was like, oh, I know there's money. Like, let me go. If I was like, oh no, I could starve and eat ramen for another 2 months. That's okay.
Yeah,
Like,
right. Yeah.
that's
We'll cook. We just won't eat out for our first 90 days of marriage. It'll be
that
better
was
that way.
fine. That was fine. Like, so for me, but as a planner, no, like you have to respect their budget, right?
Right.
Because it's their money and you want them to be happy with what they spent. You always got to get the best deals.
Yes.
Um, which is why I recommend a wedding planner if it's destination, just for communication purposes. And just
Yeah.
like how you say travel agents are the same way. Yes, you need someone to work on your travel, right? Like
Yeah.
you can't have a destination wedding and no travel agent.
No.
But yeah, and like for budget, like another piece of advice was just like I said before, focus on items that people will remember, right? Or focus on the experience, right? The reason why I cried, I didn't cry walking down the aisle or, yeah, going down in the church. I didn't cry. I was just like, oh, ha ha ha, this is good. I walked, oh,
He has to. Yeah. He won't be long. But yes. Okay.
um, I cried when I saw the wedding venue, the reception. We were walking towards the back, and we had margaritas in our hands. I think you saw the little spiral that takes us into the reception site.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
you have to walk down the spiral, little, I forget what they call it, but it's a spiral. You walk down in, they have like that ritual with the smoke, right? To bring in good vibes and good spiritual energy.
Now, was that, and is that something that you added on, or did that come with your package? That whole.
Oh no, I added that on.
Okay. That was a piece of it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because it's part of the experience, right? Like I said, I paid for the experience, right? So I paid for them to walk the guests through the park and get that experience, because that's what I wanted them to remember about my wedding. Hey, we're walking in, like, this is like, Mayan territory or whatever, right? Like, the good spiritual vibes, good smoke energy, like the fire in the middle. Each part of the spiral was like an element of, like, it was like fire, and then earth and water, and so like there was like so much to do there. The sparklers, right? Like as we were walking into the cave and hearing the waterfall like inside the caves, and the candles and the ambiance, right? So when we walked in, we're just like, we're going through the back, but I kind of take a peek, and I was already nervous, because when I saw my photographer's face, Matt goes, "Oh my goodness, you did a good job. It's gorgeous in there. Everything came together. Do you want to see it?" And I was like, "No, I shouldn't." Like, Alex was like, "No, like, just experience it." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "No, Matt, I'll look at it myself." And so I was already hyped up. I walk in, and I like take a peek, and I like, I'm walking. I kind of go, I was like, oh, and I stopped and I started crying. And Alex was like, "What's wrong?"
So I want to give a special thanks to our sponsor, which is you, the Desti Lovers community. To every single member of the Desti Lovers community, I want to thank you for making the show what it is. I'm so happy to have a place where all of my Desti Bride friends can meet and discuss all things Desti. The Desti Lovers community is an extension of the show and is your safe space for sharing and collaboration while planning your destination wedding. So here's what you can look forward to: the Desti Hour live Q&As, episode discussions, deep dives, bride friend brunch connections, giveaways. What else? Oh, and of course, the hours and hours of replays from all of the tutorials and the Desti Hour calls. So yeah, the Desti Lovers community is it. So get in the Desti Lovers community. I will see you in there. But for now, let's get into this interview.
And I'm like, "It's so beautiful." He's like, "Oh, so you don't cry walking down the altar to the altar, but you cry when you see." I was like,
"You don't cry when I propose and I'm on my knee. You ask me what the fuck I'm doing, but now you decide to cry."
I'm like, "Because girl, I did that, right?"
Yeah,
like,
and you went through a whole lot to,
Yes, and to see it, and I'm like, it's everything I wanted and more. Like, it was everything. So I was just like, it just came together. So that's what I mean by budget, right? Like, if that's what you want, you could get that like on a budget too, right? Like, there was stuff that I withheld. Like, I wanted all like high centerpieces, but I like opted out for like high, low, right? Mm-hmm. I changed like the chairs, but I didn't add the lights. There's certain things that you can do to kind of help with the budget. Yeah. But yeah, everything came together. I loved it.
It did. Oh, it really did. It was amazing. Did you have a bridal party?
I did. Yes.
You can tell. Can you tell I didn't? I haven't dug in. I looked at the. Were they in the video?
Yes, they were.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How many?
Yeah, they were. So initially, I had.
Yep. As soon as you're about to say what you're saying, I already. Yep. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. I had 5. I lost a bridesmaid at the batch. We're no longer talking, no longer friends, whatever. I'm not even going to go into that. So it ended up being four.
Yeah. Yeah.
It ended up being four. And this is what I mean by Desti brides, brace yourselves. Things are going to happen, especially with the pandemic. My maid of honor got COVID days before the wedding. Days. There was no way she would have been able to make it. So I ended up with three, which wasn't bad either because the three bridesmaids that did go, we have three bridesmaids and then we have three groomsmen. Or, sorry, one best man and then two groomsmen, right?
Okay.
So it was like 3 and 3. So it matched anyways.
Okay.
But I was so sad that my maid of honor wasn't there. She's like my right-hand girl. She was the only one that knew how to like fix the dress, like, to bustle it up.
Bustle it up. Yeah. What's her name? Shout her out.
Shout out to Gabby.
Oh, another Gabby. Oh, shout out to Gabby. Hey, Gabby.
Yes.
Hey, girl.
Gabby.
We missed you.
So I was so sad that Gabby didn't make it. She was sick, so I was like, okay. But I still managed to make her a part of the wedding. I think she was on FaceTime while I was getting ready. We have a couple pictures while she's on FaceTime. She was trying to like walk the girls through bustling it up, right? Which brings me back to that veil story. Girl, it's a $500 headpiece. It's a $500 veil that you're only going to wear going down the aisle at church. Right? Like, okay. Gabby's idea was like, hey, why don't you get a nice veil? Eva, my lady, is like super sparkly, super like, like the details in the dress is like extravagant, right? Like,
yes,
it's beautiful.
It has everything. It has the sequins, it has different types of shimmer. It's got all of the things, white, clear. Yes, all the things.
I just kind of want to wear it right now, just like,
I wish I could wear mine. I can't wear mine. So when I can get back in mine, we can do this and sit together. No.
Like when I lose the 30 pounds that I gained after.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
But,
I can put it on. It's not going to zip up or
close.
Yeah, no.
So you just don't see this part, and I'm gonna just go like this. So you but Gabby decided, hey, why don't you put just get like a simple veil, no design, no lace, just a regular veil, so that you don't take away from the dress, the back of the dress. Okay, cool. I got that veil, and like you say, like the day of the wedding, you don't even have time to eat. Luckily, I heard you say that before, so I ordered in some room service. I had it going like on the day of. I still wasn't hungry, but I was kind of like trying to munch so that I don't get drunk while everyone's passing me shots. Drinking water like I'm supposed to, but not too much so that you have to pee.
Yep.
So, like we're getting ready, and like it's like go time. Like, hey, everybody, let's go. Like, I got to put on the dress. We're supposed to take pictures at like 3:00. It's like 3:30. Mass starts at 4. Like, what's everyone doing? Get in your dress. Let's go. Right. And it was just go time. So everyone's like trying to get ready. My cousin left her dress in her room. And I'm like, why would you leave it in your room? We're supposed to get ready here, girl. Like, hurry up, run. Right. So, like with all the commotion and me taking pictures and the videographer, like, trying to like get good angles, and me in the dress, me looking back, me looking out into the ocean, like just me getting ready, having my bridesmaids put on my jewelry because my nails were super long that I couldn't do it myself. Putting on my shoes, right? Who knew like putting on shoes with the dress would be like tough.
Impossible. Yeah.
I was a little on the chunkier side. My dress barely closed. I was like sucking it in, like, all inclusive. And then you have to get in this wedding dress. So
yes.
And you're like bloated because it's hot outside, right?
Yes.
Girl, I was just not having it. So I'm like, okay, suck it in. And then at that point, I think a part of my dress was like poking, right? Like, so they had to like put Band-Aids, like so that it doesn't poke me. So we get outside, we do the first look, right? We take pictures, and then I realized where's my veil? Right? And I'm like, we did the whole pictures. We're already at the church. Where's my veil?
Oh.
And I'm like already stressed because, you know, I didn't realize that the priest was going to come up to you and ask you to, you know, like ask you questions and like, you know, you're going to confess your sins and whatever. Like, I'm like, why are you doing this to me now? Like right 5 minutes before showtime, like, do I have to confess my sins now? Like, really?
So you did, because you did it legally. You did it legal. Ah, okay.
No, it's not legal in Mexico. It's just a ceremony. We got married.
But you did okay.
Yeah. But it is because you have a priest, you do have to confess sins. And even if you did it here in the States, you have to do it before you get married, right? Like with that priest. And I didn't know that. So I'm already like stressed. And then he's telling me to confess my sins. And I'm like, you know, he's making me feel like I did so many bad things. 10 Hail Marys. I said 10? Like, what? I'm like, Alex said he did like 3. I said 3?
You were too honest.
I was like, I didn't even say nothing, but I'm like, okay, apparently I'm bad, you know. Right. Whatever. So I get out and the wedding coordinator comes up to me and she was like, okay, you ready? Like, you have to step outside. You know, they're ready for you. And I said, where's my veil? Right? And all the bridesmaids were like,
nobody. Gabby would have had it.
Girl, exactly what I said. Yes, I was like, if Gabby was here, she would have had it.
Oh.
Yes. And I was, if Gabby was here, we wouldn't be late. If Gabby was here, nobody would have been blowing up my phone. If Gabby was here, oh my God. Like, you know, but I was like, Gabby's not here. So you only could focus on the things that you can control, right? Yeah. And that's a good advice, right? Like, focus on things that you can control. Your wedding day, whether you think it's perfect, like, or you think other people's wedding days are perfect, nothing's ever perfect. You just kind of have to go with it. Go with the flow, right? Yeah. And they expected me to go with the flow with this wedding veil. That was the one thing that I wouldn't go with the flow. I said, she told me, we don't have time to go back, Joanna. Like, we don't have time. And I said, we don't have time? And I was like, we have 5 minutes. Whether you get someone to go get it, or I'll walk my ass all the way to the room and I'll get it. I ain't walking down the aisle without that $500 veil. And she goes,
okay, yeah,
you know, it's like Spanish. Like, hey,
right.
We got to get this veil. And he's like, well, where is it? It's in the room. We saw it. I'm like, okay, so you saw it, but you didn't get it. Like, oh, well, we didn't think you wanted it because it was in the room. And I was like,
why didn't you ask me, do I want that? No? Okay. Anyway, so
yeah, they went, like, I was like, grab my dress. We're going. I'm going to get this veil. Like, I don't care.
You would have been sweaty.
Whatever. $500 veil. I'm wearing that veil. Right? This guy comes back. He's sweating, right? Like,
better him than you, right? No, yeah.
I was still sweating because it was super humid. It's hot that day, and it was like one of those days where it's gonna rain. It was like
so it's kind of very humid,
yeah. And so I was like already sticky. I'm like, all right, like this girl's putting the veil on. I'm like, she don't know what she doing, like with the bobby pins and
poking you. Was she getting you?
She was. And she's telling me to walk at the same time. I'm like, you're hella short. I'm like trying to walk at an incline and you're trying to put this veil on me. And you just see her like let go of the veil and not even like fix it while I was walking down the aisle. I was like, you know what? At this point, whatever. I have my veil.
At least you have it. Whatever. It's like hanging off. It's halfway hanging, but you got it. So
it was halfway hanging. You know, the priest knows what's up because he was just like, he was starting the mass and he's like, okay, you know, whatever. And then he goes, no, don't sit down. I'm like, huh? He goes, well, no one's going to fix her dress. I was like, well, if Gabby was here, she would have fixed my dress, you know? He goes, that's a nice, beautiful dress. She's going to wear it one time in her life. Go ahead. Someone fix the dress.
Oh, like, I love it.
So, like, one of my bridesmaids or two of them were in the back. They're, like, trying to, you know,
fan it out.
Right. And I'm like, see, this wouldn't be an issue if Gabby was here. But, you know, like I said, she's not here. So they did a good job. My bridesmaids did the best they could that day. They felt
You're like,
so
hey, we didn't know
bad.
Gabby wasn't gonna be here either. Okay, we were just
Yeah,
supposed to be here. So,
they were just supposed to be there, drink, but now like they have different responsibilities. They're like grown up.
Aw. Well, we have taken a lot of your time. Are you open to doing the follow up, like doing a follow up continuation at a bride from brunch?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yay! I
absolutely.
know there'll be plenty of questions. I have more questions and notes to go, like for us to dig in on some things. But you've given us so much right now, and I absolutely appreciate you. I do want to ask, what advice would you offer for a Desti bride or groom or couple that is on the fence about destination? They're scared or they're just new and they really don't know. What advice would you give them?
My advice would be really figure out what you guys like, right? Because this is your special day. Um, Whether you guys are like us and you like beaches, right? Or um, you want to do it as simple as your mom's farmhouse, right? Like who knows? Like it just make sure like you both agree on it, right? Because this this wedding's going to be sacred. If you want to do a destination, good for you. Don't believe the lies of, yeah, destination weddings are cheaper. No, no, it's not. Like I
Nope.
don't know where that came from. I don't know why people say, oh, it's cheaper. No, no, it is not. You say wedding and it's like three times the cost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Might as well have gotten a birthday cake and bring it to the wedding. Like, but like wherever you guys decide to do it, just be happy with it and don't go into debt. That's all.
Oh, I love that. And what would you say is the best and the worst advice that you've received along your journey? I'm funny with my hands.
Um, the best was, like focus, like I said so many times on the show already, focus on the experience, right? From the moment you start planning to your wedding day, right? A lot of people forget to enjoy the process, to enjoy being engaged, to still
Yes.
date, right? Like, because you guys are thinking, okay, no, I gotta save, let's just eat in. Like, even if you eat in, okay, light some candles, put some mood music. I don't know what everyone listens to, jazz or whatever. Like, make it romantic, right? You're still dating. Just because you're gonna get married doesn't mean it has to stop. This is where like a lot of arguments come into play, right? Because they don't communicate. So the best advice was like focus on that experience, the engagement experience. Enjoy the day, enjoy the planning, enjoy every piece of it, both the good and the bad, because at the end, it'll just make your wedding that much worth it. That's the best advice. Like someone told me, I just focus on that experience and even just that day, right? Every little thing about that day, you'll remember it. Worse, uh, like I told you, destination weddings are cheaper. Yeah, that's false. That is very false. Um, it is not cheaper, but you can look at it as like, okay, maybe more intimate, right? Who knows? But it
Yeah.
is definitely not cheaper. It's, if anything, they do overcharge because it is a wedding and they know you're coming from far and you're willing to pay more. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to, because I'm always saying the same thing, like it's not cheaper, just baseline. It can be if you invite less people, decide to, like, you can have streamlined, right? Like you can do that versus you like having your wedding at home and having 300 people with the exact same glam that you wanted. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So at the same time, it's one of those things where it's like a wedding costs what it's going to cost no matter what anyway, what you have. So you could either spend it here or spend it there. The beautiful thing is you get to have that full experience for yourself and your guests. And at Bride Friend Brunch, I do want to talk about like your actual wedding week and what you filled that in with the, you know, with all of that and the traveling piece and all that kind of stuff. So I do want to dig into all of those things. You gave us
for people that. Oh, sorry.
No. Go ahead.
For people that are thinking about destination weddings too, right? Like you got to keep in mind like what you want them to experience, because really, if you're doing destination, you're doing it for the experience, right? You're not doing it just. That's the difference between having it at home and having it at a destination, because you're bringing your guests with you on vacation, right? Because most people who do destination weddings, they love to travel, right? They want to experience these new things with those they love. So just remember that, right? Like you're paying for their vacation, and it just so happened that mine was all inclusive, all around, transportation, tours, and everything. So
yeah, you got some good packages, so that's pretty cool. Even though the communication wasn't working, it still seems to have worked out nicely. So you did it. You did the thing. I'm proud. Proud of you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm proud too. It was beautiful. Like I said,
you should be. Yeah, definitely. So thank you so much for your time.
Of course.
And we will see you soon.
Yes.
All right.
Definitely. Can't wait.